Hey Juliet, really nice to have you here with us again at Healthy High Achievers. Because this month we've been talking about spring cleaning, right? Simplifying life. And I know you've been talking a lot about that as well, but more the emotional side. Because we've been talking about when people think about spring cleaning, they think about cleaning the house, right? Getting rid of trash, of things they never use, clothes they never use. And in the community, we've been talking about cleaning your desk to have more focus for work
Mm.
and cleaning your relationships, kind of filtering the kinds of people you have in your life, and cleaning your gut, right? Choosing the right kinds of foods. And then next week, we're talking about cleaning your schedule, kind of simplifying all the commitments and plans we have. But what I'd love to talk about with you, because I know you're an expert in this, you're a transformational coach, a master certified coach, and I love it when you talk about these topics, is really how we can also create kind of clutter in our emotional world, how we fill our backpacks with a lot of emotional load and we keep carrying it with us, right?
Yes. Yes. So you hit the nail on the head. And I know in your group you've had wonderful spring cleaning. And so in our life, spring cleaning, we tend to do a lot of surface cleaning that we think is keeping everything in order, like our house. And we meditate and we read self-help books and we do things where we go, see, I'm doing well. But what we have done is in our lives is we've collected things, whether it's through experiences or non-optimal decisions, because I don't like to use mistakes. I like non-optimal decisions. And we go, well, I don't want anyone to see this, so I'm going to shove it under the bed. I'm going to put it in the back of the closet. As long as everything else looks okay, this is going to be hidden. And what it does is it just keeps jumbling up. And we know that feeling of heaviness when our house is just not right. And so that's what spring cleaning for ourselves is to go deep, to go deeper, to go back in the back of our brains, to find those things that are dimming our lights, dimming our energy, so that we can expand and be the
Mm.
best selves that we can be, right?
Yeah, and it's so beautiful when you say that. We do think that reading self-help books, meditating, doing yoga, I'm doing all the right things, right? It's all good, it's all good. But then sometimes we feel frustrated, or we feel kind of, we maybe cry for no reason that we know of, or we get kind of grumpy, or we're tired and we don't really know why. It's because we've been pushing all this emotional baggage under the rug. I loved it when you said that. It's like putting all the dust under the rug, right? And then it's not visible. It's like you said, we look good, we take care of ourselves. We think we're doing a good job, but there's
Yeah.
so much that we don't go to. Why do you think it is that we just don't tend to spring clean on a deeper level?
Because it's messy. We get messy and there's a lot there. And it's emotions are so messy and it takes long, right? Surface cleaning, it's quick. It's easy to go and really pull everything out and dismember things, to put things in different bags to get rid of, to see what we need to keep, what do we really need to evaluate. That takes time, it takes energy, and it bubbles up really harsh feelings about ourselves, about other people that we may be trying to keep at a status quo. And so it is a good time at different points in our life. Where are we? What can we get rid of? What's not self-serving? And how are we going to level up? Who do we need to get rid of in our lives? Those are the kind of things we need to think about.
Yeah, and when you say that, I think of those moments when we don't agree with actions we did, with reactions we had. We kind of feel
Mhm.
bad about the way we behaved in a way, or the mistakes we made. You don't use the word mistake. What was the word you use?
Non-optimal decisions. It didn't turn
No.
out the way we wanted or expected, but
Love
it
it.
doesn't mean that it's absolutely horrid. We're human, right? We could get hurt and we can hurt others. It's what do we take from that? What have we learned and what can we change? That's one thing about spring cleaning is we hold on to things where we don't forgive others and we don't forgive ourselves. And to move forward, we have to let go of holding these grudges towards others and ourselves. To forgive someone else, that really is for us, right? To move on. I can't move on if I'm having these, envy and hatred for something that someone else did. Mind you, they probably did it because they're at a place where they need to spring clean. They're at their best that they can be. And there's nothing that affects us that is our cause. And for us, we are at a point where we go, okay, I did the best that I could do with the information that I had, because let's face it, we've all been through something, whether it's severely traumatic or something that when people come to me, go, well, people have it worse than I do. I do not like to invalidate other people's trauma, because trauma is just trauma, and it forms our thoughts and
Mm.
our actions. And that's what turns into needing to be a high achiever, a perfectionist, and why we can't forgive, why we can't say no, why we're a people pleaser, why we fear judgment. These are all the things that we're shoving in our closet and under our bed, right?
Yeah, that kind of emotional, mental pressure we put on ourselves, right, as high achievers. And I must mention it again. I love that word, non-optimal decisions, because high achievers can be really hard on themselves, right? And that's something we talked about in our previous interview about perfectionism and the connection with yourself. And I can imagine how, on one side, holding grudges, experiences from the past, people you can't seem to forgive, or you can't seem to forgive yourself. On the other side, it's the pressure you put on yourself, the mental, emotional pressure. That's all baggage that you just take with you. And another thing I think about is when you really give a lot of weight to things that happen in your life, right? When you take it very personally, or you give it more weight than necessary, or something happens and you keep ruminating, it keeps replaying in your head. That's all that emotional baggage. It's not really necessary, right? To keep carrying that with you.
It's hard to get rid of it, though. We can be our own hoarders with our memories and our thoughts. And many of us have purchased things in our lives that we go, why did we do that? It's a
We all do.
with these thoughts, and it comes from somebody who we felt should have loved us. And so it begins with, well, if they think that, then there's something wrong with me. Or if they're comparing me to someone else, then that person's better and I'm inadequate. And what we can do with that inadequacy is constantly try to prove ourselves, which again leads back to your healthy high achievers, or not so healthy. That's why they're here.
Yeah.
And uh, proving, look at my value. See what a great career person I am. See what a great mother I am. See what a great father, husband, spouse, whatever. And when you do that, it's because mentally you're saying, I'm not good enough. So I have to keep proving. So there's this negative thought in the back of your head, as well as other people expect you now to constantly prove yourself, and you'll never make the bar. So,
Mm.
letting go of, that need to show your value, get value from other people. Um, and why we decide to do that, to prove ourselves, to make it to be a certain way we think others expect of us, you
Mm.
know.
And I can see how that can just be very heavy. I always have clients who say, okay, when I ask them, what do you want to work on? And they say, Maya, I want to feel more calm. I want to feel more light. And that's exactly the opposite, of what we're kind of doing, all that weight we're putting on ourselves, really. So when my healthy high achievers here are watching this interview and they're like, yes, I recognize this. I really want to work on that. I want to spring clean my emotional world and just feel more light, more calm. What is something they could do today, right now, let's say?
So there are lots of things, but one specific thing I'd like to talk about is that feeling of why we feel I have to, or why I feel I can't. And that's where you can say, I must or I must not do whatever because of my family, right? Because of what my family say. Or I cannot do this because of my religion. Or you can even break it up into a big cultural group. I cannot do whatever because of my relationships, or because of my sexuality, or because my career says this. And so when you say, like, my career, and put that at the top, or my family, and say, I must not. And you start to list. Then you start to see all these outside things or the things you need to do because your family's influencing, or what you think your family is influencing, what you think your religion is telling you what you need to do, what society feels your sexuality is putting on you to be, And so then after you make this list, you can feel yourself. Where do you feel tight reading these out loud? I must not. I must do this. I must. And you could feel that it's not yours when you feel it inside. Where are you holding? Is it in your jaw? Are you tensing up? Do you feel it in your chest? Is your gut kind of tightening up because you know it's not your authenticity that's coming out? It's someone else's. And then you could start to ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen if I don't dim my light and I do what I'm feeling that releases that calm that I want to feel? Because we all have that. And that's where the writing comes in. And I'm big on brain dumps.
Yeah, those are
But when you,
so efficient.
yeah, I mean, and then that's the focus, right? Because now you've made this list of other people's wants, or what you feel that is required of you in society, or the breakdown. And then what would be the worst thing that can happen to have that calm in your life, and what you would feel. And just write really fast. Don't think twice, about what you need. um, but as I said, for each little thing that we talked about, the judgment, the not being able to say no, the people pleaser, those are all different things that have other little tricks of the trade that you can do to help bubble those things up to the surface. But that's a good one to start, because that at least pulls all the junk out of your drawers and you're looking at it, right? Now you see
Mm.
it's there.
Yeah, it's just putting pen to paper and really seeing it in front of you, right?
Mhm.
And first observing yourself of, okay, what are those phrases that I always use or think of? I can't, or I must not, or I must. And like you say, where does it come from? I love how you're saying how you can put it into categories, right? This comes from my career. This comes from my family, the way I was brought up, or this comes from my culture. This comes from whatever experience I had. When you kind of just analyze your own pressures, the pressure you put on yourself and where it really comes from. And once you realize where it comes from, I feel like it's easier to just take some distance from it, because it's
Mhm.
not, maybe it's not that real anymore, because you realize this is just a thought that comes from this experience, right?
And I understand. I mean, as humans, from the beginning of time, we want to be included. We don't want to be ostracized, because it used to mean death, right? If we're out of our tribe. So we want to be included. We want to be heard. We want to be loved, and we want to have a purpose. And so that feeling of that scared of taking a leap and being ourselves, to lose family, to lose friends, that's where the thought process of, okay, if I'm going to level up, if I'm going to be my authentic self, if I'm going to radiate this energy that I was born with, that needs to go out into the world, who am I willing, and how am I willing to at least give that distance that you talked about, pull yourself back, or
Mm.
remove people? Because when we do become ourselves, we draw the people in that belong around our energy.
Mm. And that makes me think of that next step, right? Once you have it all in front of you, you're talking about journaling and brain dumping and writing it down. What I often like to do is just literally make a mind map. Just put it all on paper. What is going on in my world? What is going on in my emotional world? Where do I feel stuck? And just branch it out. Sometimes I put like Maya and then the date of today and just see whatever is happening within Maya today and just put it on a mind map. If you need a big piece of paper, do that, but have it visually in front of you. And then we go to that next step. It's action, right? It's what you're saying. Okay, make a change, do something about it. How can I filter this out? How can I spring clean everything that's going on in my emotional world right now? Who do I maybe need to talk to? Who do I maybe, who do I not need in my life anymore, right? What kind of decisions need to need do I need to make, or things I need to change, things I need to do right now to lift that weight of my shoulders.
Yes, exactly. And when it comes to those things too, of this reevaluation and this thought process, a lot of times we need to find our why. What's the why of what we want to get to? What's going to motivate us to do it? Is it big enough? Are we sitting down because we haven't found that why? And that board that you're talking about of what's going on in Maya's world right now, also thinking about the world you want to have as it is now and writing it out, how you feel, what you're doing, what your partner looks like, what your job looks like, what your home looks like, what you do every day. If you write as it's already happening and you feel that calm, that's your place to be. And then that's your why of how to get there. So it's a long process. And that's going back to you, why don't people do it? Because it's not a fast fix. It is a long journey that we're on, really, all of us, our whole lives. And it takes time. But each step of making it to the next stepping stone, that next level where we can see beneath us of all the progress, that's when we go, man, this is worth it. This feels fantastic. So, yeah.
Yeah, lovely. And I love what you said there about that vision, right? Because people talk all the time about what's your why and your why in life. And people are like, "Yeah, what's this about?" Right? But when you really make it more concrete, when you think about you, the person you want to be, the potential you see in yourself, or your ideal self, let's say, okay, in an ideal situation, what would I look like? What would I be like? What kind of people would I have in my life? What kind of job would I do? And I started doing these exercises where I could imagine the ideal Maya, the ideal version of myself. And it was funny how that helped me to take better decisions, because there were moments where I was about to react or make a move, take a decision. For example, I'll make it very concrete. I know that there was years ago, there was this concert with a stage there, and they said, anyone who wants to come up and sing can join us. And I was sitting there all shy, and I could see my ideal self just get up and go, right? And just go for it, just start singing. I didn't
Mhm.
do it at that moment. So I didn't take action, but it was that first step of every time I had to make a difficult decision, do something, be brave, I could already visualize and see my ideal self doing it. And it was funny how, like you say, it takes time. Over time, I started acting more like her, acting more like the person I want to be. And I must say, I'm still in that process. We're all constantly, always in that process. I need to reevaluate and see, okay, how can I be who I really want to be? And what does that look like, right? What kind of decisions could I make? Actions could I take to get closer to her?
But at the same time, you've already leveled up and up where you can look down and see that other person that you were and that you've arrived on all these other leveling up process. And
Mhm.
that's the beauty of it, right? The fact is that many of us go, well, I did this and it was horrible. But the fact that you can look backwards and say, I would do it different shows that you've already leveled up. That's
Mhm.
already doing it. And so we need to give ourselves that props, pat ourselves on the back a little bit for the progress that we have. Even the little ones, you've done something amazing. You've grown. Growing is, that's why they call it growing pains. It's difficult. So pat yourself along the way, dig a little deeper. And I know, like you said, to find your why, one other thing I'd like people to think of as a little exercise, when you're trying to find that thing that's really part of your soul, that's you, and you can't seem to find your purpose, to sit there and do a little visualization of breathing. And when you breathe, you see your heart breathing in and getting bigger, and then you start to see a color. What color is that heart color for you? And it might have sparkles, it might be glowing, whatever that color is. It's going to grow and take place into your head. So now your head is being bathed in this heart glow. And when that happens, you feel that love, that intuition, that connection into yourself. I know this is a short one because we're of our timing, but when you get to that point where you feel that heart love in your head and you're thinking out of a love, that's when you can write really fast about what it is, that intuition will come out, what it is that I want. And that's after sitting for about 10 minutes like that, you know.
I felt
So
it in 10 seconds already. You were saying it, and I was imagining my heart becoming yellow. That's my color. And just feeling I was all getting all yellow. And I felt it already. So I'm definitely going to use that one before journaling, before brain dumping. Just in the mornings, I like to wake up, meditate a bit, and visualize. So if I can do that in the mornings, I've been leveling up like crazy the past month because I've been
mhm.
working with you as a client and I've been loving it.
Oh,
So I
thank you.
wanted to, yeah, I loved the work we did together. And I would love to finish this interview just by asking, I know already from my personal experience, but for other people, how can a transformational coach like you really help people, help healthy high achievers, help anyone who needs it to feel more light, feel more calm, and feel more like their authentic selves?
So I am a firm believer that you, as you know, are your own best expert. But a lot of times we get stuck. And a transformational coach like me, I'll come in and I will walk with you. I'll personalize to you, not to anyone else, and pull out what it is that is your best you. The things that you've forgotten that you can do, the things that you've forgotten that other people have said that have taken away your shine. And we will fill your cup till it spills over with everything that you need to move forward and have absolute unshakable confidence, to be able to have the relationships that you love and succeed on that journey to level up.
Beautiful. And I can really vouch for that because I am a person I'm very connected with myself. And I've worked with coaches before who kind of in the conversation, I didn't feel like anything new came up because I know myself very well. I'm super self-aware. So it's hard to, I thought like, I see everything that's happening within me. But then working with you, the stuff that came up, even in sessions where I had no idea what I wanted to talk about in a session, stuff that just came up, realizations, things I didn't see before. It was such a journey that just, I know, in a session, so many things can happen and you realize new things and you're like, oh, yeah, all these aha moments. And then you know that it will just have its ripple effect for days, weeks, months, years to come because it grows, it helps you grow faster into really the person you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
So
And you're a
thank you.
prime example. Oh, you're welcome. Of someone who's very aware. You're very self aware. You are highly intelligent and outgoing and a high achiever in a healthy way. And you've done so many things for other people. But you're proof that no matter where we are in our life, there's something, as we've been talking about, underneath that bed that we've forgotten, that it just takes somebody to help pull it out. And I'm so honored again to be on the journey with you and see
You're
what you're doing.
wonderful at looking under that rug and pulling out whatever there is. So thank you so much,
I'm the
Juliet.
Marie Kondo of transformational coaching.
Yes, you are. I love that line. That you should use that line. You're the Marie Kondo of transformational coaching. So, Juliet, I love the flow of our conversation. I always do. Thank you so much. And Cheevers, good luck with spring cleaning your emotional world, everything that you're carrying with you that you shouldn't be carrying anymore. Just use the simple exercises of Juliet, and you can always contact her to do private sessions because I definitely, absolutely recommend it. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
See
you,
you. Bye.
Maya.
Take
Nice to
care.
see you. Bye.